Sup, Bullfist is my name. If you need someone with some muscle and isn't too bad looking, I'm your guy. I grew up in an orphanage without knowing my parents. They were probably a slut and a low-life dirtbag. There in the orphanage, I met my mates, Benedict, the brains of the group, Saddam, the spy of the group, and Henry, the thief of the group. He could steal anything off you, the bastard. And me, the muscle, the go-getter, the get-it-done guy. We started off small, robbing and thieving off the kids in the orphanage, and later we got bigger ideas. Our biggest job is when we robbed the city bank, stealing the estimated worth of $250,000 in gold. We later got caught and sentenced to light punishment of 6 months in jail because no one got hurt during the robbery and we were still technically kids, being 17. I had some time to think while I was in jail and decided being a thief wasn't the life for me, so I decided to put my strengths to use and become a sword for hire. My buddies didn't agree with me and continued with their old ways, later being killed in a robbery after the job turned south. But fuck 'em, I don't need anybody but myself. I look out for my own neck, and if anybody gets in my way, I push them aside. You better watch out, world, because here I fucking come.
Edenwald's mother was a young, naive high elf whose poor family sold her hand in marriage to a rich lord, Villis. After failing to give birth to a son for Villis, she reached out to the mysterious Eladrin to help her. She had an affair with the handsome Eladrin from a noble line and gave birth to a son. The Eladrin stayed in Autikea to watch over her and asked her to name the son Edenwald after his forefathers. Aware of his wife's affair, Varys sent the boy away to be trained in the capital at the age of 5. The king discovered his ability to teleport and found an Eladrin to train him as assassin instead. After 10 years of rigorous training and 15 years as an assassin for the king, word reached the capital that Varys had another son, and Edenwald journeyed home to secure his inheritance. But his mother had died in childbirth, and his half-brother had been named the successor of Villis's household. Seeing Villis treat his servants poorly in the anger of having the inheritance taken away from him, Eddie snapped and killed Villis on a fishing trip, but not before he revealed the truth of his heritage. With the help of his friend Yasiko, who he had met on a mission to an important fishing town several years ago, Eddie easily made it look like an accident, but he couldn't bring himself to kill his innocent half-brother and left him the estate. After all of this, Eddie returned to the service of the king until he grew sick of killing political targets, struck out on his own, with the favor of the king to go find his place in this world. While in the service of the king, Eddie had made a name for himself as the Herald of the Reaper. Make your life count, because you'll never see death coming.
My name is Harold Schwartzman. I'm a Warforged X-8000 prototype infiltration unit. I was designed to be more powerful than any of the Warforged ever built. The biggest upgrade was an experimental mode called the Illuminator. This was meant to give me enhanced awareness of all enemies in the area, but in reality, it targets everyone, friend or foe. During my first test run, I murdered and mutilated at least 20 scientists within seconds of the activation of the new mode. I was deactivated soon afterward, and the project was scrapped. The Illuminator mode activation code was deleted from my memory, and my power cell was removed. I was then buried underneath the laboratory, in hopes to never be found again. At least that's what they thought. I was able to be reactivated because my backup power cell was left intact. I must find a new power cell before it's too late. Hasta la vista, baby.
My name is Varys. I grew up in Autikea. At a young age, my parents vanished while I was asleep. All of their belongings were still in the house. Several days later, I started to run out of food, so I had to get some from somewhere, but I had nothing, so I had to resort to stealing. I wasn't very good since I was young and all, and didn't know how to, but I got away with enough to survive. I started to get tired of doing this after several years, so I started looking through the house to see if I could find anything to help me out. I found my dad's banjo. I decided to try to learn it, at least to get some sort of money. After years of practice, I became pretty good and well known around Autikea for my performances. While I started to get bored of performing for the same crowd of people after a few years, I decided to ask around and see if anyone knew of anywhere I could explore and find good treasure. While doing this, I talked to a traveler that came from Essex that said he had heard rumors about this old lab that had all of a sudden got shut down for security reasons, and my interest was sparked. So I made my way across the desert to find this lab. When I got there, it was completely abandoned and found my way in pretty easily. When I got to the center of the building, I found this human-like robot that had all sorts of vines hanging from him. I quickly became curious as to if it could be activated, so I searched and found a spot for some sort of cylinder-like object and a disconnected cord from its head. I connected the wire, and what I did, woke up and asked several questions, which I answered the best I could, and then he told me about his missing power cell, which we then set off to find.
The name's Yasuko. I come from Silona. Who I am, you ask? I'm the one who will always be saving your sorry ass when you hurt yourself from trying too hard. When I was young, I had always looked up to my father. He was one of the utmost highest rankings in Silona's army. He always told me stories of how they fought off the landmen and their ships trying to sabotage our waters and endangering our freedoms. I wanted to be just like him. But the damn landmen wouldn't stop pushing into our waters, killing our people. One fateful day, Silona's king had ordered my father and his platoon to make a surprise attack on land. The mission went south. The landmen set up a counterattack and they captured my father and his platoon. They were all executed. That day I swore vengeance on my father's killer and vengeance on all the landmen for what they've done to our people. Once I had learned about what had happened to my father, I immediately enlisted into Silona's ranks to serve my country and get revenge upon my father. Through years of training and glorious combat as a gladiator, I rose high enough in rank and gained enough respect to become a paladin. And that's where I met Edenwold. After I had helped Edenwold with some personal affairs, afterward I asked a favor from him. With his experience in, the killing of things, and my knowledge of, who I needed dead, I got vengeance on that heathen who had taken my father's life from me. Not a single trace was left behind. Silona will never find out, and never will.